Hello, thank you for taking the time to watch this tutorial and learn more about the advanced features in Practice Web. These features can help you increase productivity and achieve a truly paperless office. The tutorial you're about to watch is a detailed explanation of the insurance benefits in Practice Web and how they affect your treatment plan estimates and patient co-payments. In this tutorial, you'll learn where to enter the benefit information, how to enter adjustments for benefits already used, plan notes for benefits that can't be added to the insurance, benefit renewal dates, plan maximums and deductibles and how they affect your estimates, percentages for insurance categories for different levels of coverage. You'll be able to input plan frequencies. You'll learn about ortho benefits. And we'll also discuss the other benefit section and how to set plan limitations. Let's get started. There are two ways that you can access the insurance benefits for an insurance plan. The first and most common way is to double left click on the insurance plan in the family module for your selected patient. Hopefully you've had the opportunity to watch the Insurance Basic Overview tutorial. And if you did, you know that Practice Web will keep track of all patients that have identical plans. So if you edit any of the benefits in this screen, it'll automatically update any of the patients on your subscriber list. The second option for entering benefits would be maybe if you received a letter from an insurance company and they informed you that there are new benefits for the next year. Without selecting a patient, you can go to the list menu and click on Insurance Plans. From here, you can double left click on the insurance plan you want to change, and then you can update the benefits here. And then once you've updated those benefits, anyone on this list will automatically be updated. Since the first example is the most common, we're going to go back and show you the benefit details here. In the far upper right, you have the Adjustment to Insurance Benefits box. When you click on the Add button, you can enter any benefits that have been used during the benefits year. This is predominantly used for patients that are new to your practice and coming to you mid-year, and maybe they've already been seen by another dentist. For example, if they've already used $500 of their benefits, you can enter that in the insurance used field. Maybe if they've met their deductible already, you could put that here as well. You can also use this to track benefits used by a referral. So if you sent one of your patients to a specialist and they had the work done, you can reflect that here as well. So again, you would just click on Add, and whatever amount was used, you can enter that here. You can also use this to track benefits that are rollover. So maybe if the patient has one of those plans where any unused benefits roll over into the next year, you can then click Add and put a negative sign. So let's just say maybe $200. And this will add $200 to whatever their existing max is. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and show that this patient has used $300 and they've already met their deductible of $50. So if this patient has an annual max of $1,500, Practice Web will only calculate for $1,200 until they reset next year. So if we look in the treatment plan for Bob Smith, you can see this information in the lower right under the individual insurance. So you can see that he has an annual max of $1,500. He's met his deductible already. He's used $300 of his benefits, and there's $1,200 remaining. So any treatment plan you create will be calculated based on this $1,200. You can also see this information in the account module. So if you look in the upper right, there is an insurance remaining tab here. And if you hover the mouse over that insurance remaining, you can see the information here as well. Now let's go ahead and go back to the family module. And for this example, we're going to use Jane Doe. Now, Jane Doe is a new patient. She hasn't used any of her benefits yet, so we're not going to make any adjustments up here. We're just going to look at the benefit information section down here at the bottom. Now, one aspect of the insurance plan screen that is especially helpful is that you can request benefit information electronically from both Dental Exchange and Trojan. And those benefits will import directly into PracticeWeb. So if you currently use one of these services, you can call our support team and they can make sure to set that feature up for you. Now, to access the benefit details, you double left click in the benefit information section. In the upper left-hand corner, you have the benefit year. If this is a typical plan that begins on January 1st, make sure there is a check mark in the calendar box. If the insurance plan starts in any other month, you can uncheck that box and put the number of that month here. So looking at this example, this patient's benefits will begin on June 1st. Now, with PracticeWeb, you don't have to worry about resetting the patient's benefits. It'll automatically reset the next year based on the information you have entered here. Next on the screen is the annual max and the deductible fields. You can see that this particular plan is set for an individual at $1,000 and family at $3,000. The individual deductible is $50 and the family deductible is $100. Now, if you want to make sure that PracticeWeb properly calculates your insurance estimates, don't leave this box blank or enter a 0. If you leave the annual max fields blank, then the software will not calculate as a maximum. If you leave it at 0 or enter a 0, then it will assume that they don't have any coverage at all. So at the bare minimum, you at least want to have the annual max entered and the general deductible entered. Family is helpful in family accounts, but it is optional, so you don't necessarily need to have anything entered here. Now, if you know what the family benefits are, go ahead and enter them. If you do not, then don't guess, just leave the family section blank. The next field is the fluoride limitation. Whatever age limitation this plan has on fluoride, you can put that here. You can also do the same with sealants, just whatever is covered here. This is connected to the 1208 code, so whenever you use that code in a treatment plan, it'll calculate for you. I'm going to go ahead and click OK to save this. Now let's go ahead and look at her son Tommy's account. So for this example, we have a mother and son. We have Jane and Tommy, and they're both using the same insurance plan. We have a treatment plan entered for both of them. Now, Tommy, if you look at his treatment plan, the fluoride is covered at 100%. Let's go ahead and go back to Jane, and let's take a look at her treatment plan. Because her plan has an age limitation of 21 years old, she's going to end up paying 100% out of pocket for the fluoride. You also have the same limitation on sealants. Since most insurance plans don't cover sealants for adults, if you put the age limitation in the benefits screen, it'll provide you with the same type of calculations. So let's talk about the frequency section now. Whatever you have entered in these number fields will replace the numbers in the frequency terms here on the right. So, for example, if this plan allows for bite wings every 6 months, you can put the number 6 in this field and it'll replace the number sign here. Same with Pano, or FMX, if it's covered every 5 years, you just put 5, and then you can use the drop-down menu to select your limitations. Maybe this plan allows for 2 exams per year. It doesn't matter what the spacing is in between each exam. Now, please note that this is for your information only. It doesn't actually affect the insurance estimates in the treatment plan. So, for example, if your patient has already had 2 exams this year and they need to come in for a third because they have a focus problem, the software will still provide an insurance estimate for that third exam. So just be mindful to look at the patient's insurance plan before you make sure to guarantee any type of coverage. Now, if you need to override an estimate, you can double left click on the procedures individually, and you can always manually adjust if needed. Now here, you can change if something is not covered. You can actually change it. If there's actually a specific patient portion, you can make sure to put that amount in. So if for any reason you have to override an insurance estimate, you can always do that here. So let's go ahead and go back to the benefits screen. The next section is the Ortho Max. If this plan covers ortho treatment, you can put that information here. This section will give you insurance estimates for all of the codes in the 8,000 code range. So now, based on my max of 3,000 and that it's covered at 50%, we're also not going to put an age limitation here because maybe this plan doesn't have one. I'm going to go ahead and click OK to save this and show you what these calculations look like in the treatment plan now. So if I go to the treatment plan for Jane, we've added in a ortho code, and you can see the fee. You can see that it's covered at 50% with a $50 deductible, and here's your patient's portion. Let's go ahead and take a look at the category percentages now. It's pretty typical to see preventative covered at 100%, restorative at 80%, and major at 50%. This is pretty much an dental insurance industry standard. Now, you can enter this information by using the quick entry fields. And you can see that by typing the information in the quick entry field, it'll update all of the categories in that section. Now, if you have an individual category that has a specific level of coverage, you can always click in that individual field and change it. If you want to know what code ranges are covered within these categories, you can see that under your setup menu. I'm going to close out of here quickly. And so if we go to our setup menu and go to family and insurance, and then insurance categories. So here you can see the code number ranges that are covered under their respective categories. Now, please don't make any changes here without speaking with our technical support first, because if you make any changes here, It will affect every patient and every insurance plan. But now you at least have an idea of how Practice Web matches up the percentages you enter to their respective codes. Now, in the upper right, you have another deductible field. Most of your insurance plans waive the deductible on preventative care. If you're adding an insurance plan for the first time, these fields will be blank. Now, if the plan waives the deductible on preventative care, make sure you put a 0 in each of these fields so that way the software will know that there's no out-of-pocket to your patient. Now, if you leave these fields blank, then it will apply to the general deductible. So let me go ahead and show you what that looks like. So now, if you look at my treatment plan, you can see that the deductible is applied to the exam here. If I were to put a 0 in these fields, you'll now see that there's no out-of-pocket on the preventative and that the deductible is now provided to the next respective treatment. So let's go ahead and go back to our benefits screen. So below the deductible field, you have additional waiting period options. So if you were to enter the waiting periods here, it doesn't affect the calculations, but it does enter a plan note so that you can clearly see if this patient is eligible for what you're proposing. This is useful to know when you go to pre-authorize any proposed treatment. Now let's look at the other benefits section. This section many times is unused, but there are a few examples of when the other benefit section is beneficial. Example number 1 is showing a patient has coverage for procedures that aren't typically covered, like nitrous. The second example is for different coverages for family members. For example, if the spouse and dependents have different coverage levels for the different categories separate from the subscriber. So example, if the subscriber is covered at 100, but maybe the spouses and dependents are covered at maybe say 90. The third example for other benefits is if you need to set up a separate annual max for different procedures. Maybe this patient has really good insurance and they're coming in for prophies regularly. Maybe it's for perio treatment. You can set the limitation really high for something that you know the patient will never reach. So that way they can come in for as many prophies as they want. This way it will show that nothing is coming out of the patient's general annual max, but if you look at the treatment, it's covered at 100%, and they still have their annual max left. Now, one thing to note is that not every benefit will be calculated 100% of all cases. For those types of benefits, you can enter the plan notes section. We covered this section in detail in previous webinars, but by typing your notes here, you can see that information in red, so that way you know what's covered and what's not. So this concludes our tutorial on the insurance benefits detail in Practice Web. If you have any questions, please call our support team at 800-845-9360. 79 option 2, or you can send an email to support@practice-web.com.